welcome to Food for Life this week. I am so excited about my guests. Not only do they run an amazing spirits brand, but they do it as a married couple. I want to know what it's like to work together and be married. I'm not sure I could actually work with my family, so I'm curious to hear about that. And their brand is amazing. It ticks all the boxes for the things that we love. They are gluten-free, they're non-GMO, they're kosher, vegan. Well, we'll hear more about that. Now, I'm going to welcome Kara into the conversation. She's one of the co-owners of Rhode Island Spirits. Hi, Kara.
Hi, Ashley. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about Rhode Island Spirits and how you guys started, you and your wife?
Sure. Well, we have backgrounds that have nothing to do with distilling. We each worked separately in nonprofits for most of our careers, which we like to joke drove us to drink. But my wife, Cathy, has been a forager since she was a tiny child. Whenever there's anything she sees out on the roadside or the fields or the coast that she thinks she can make into something, she's all over it. And I used to homebrew beer, and we have friends who are spirits distillers and own distilleries. So a few years ago, we started thinking about sort of what can we do that we would be able to do together, that would really be sort of a values-run business that we could really pour ourselves into. And we love gin. So we started looking into what it would take to run a gin distillery. And lo and behold, here we are 4 years later with a distillery that's been open for 3 years.
Wow. I mean, so gin, but gin isn't the only thing you guys make.
It's not. It's the first thing that we started out sort of building our business plan around gin. And then we realized, literally while I was writing up the business plan, that in order to make gin, you have to make vodka. So I remember distinctly one day I was working on the business plan in the office at home, and Cathy was outside doing something, and I literally lifted up the window and yelled, "Honey, I think we're going to have to sell vodka too."
Such a hard.
Yeah. So at this point, we have a couple of different expressions of gin, a plain vodka, a couple of flavored vodkas, and then a limoncello and a grapefruitcello as well. And everything we make has fresh farmed or foraged ingredients in it. Everything is gluten-free, everything is organic. And we can talk a little bit more about why we did that. But yeah, we're really proud that we have a unique and really hyper-local spirits brand here in Rhode Island.
I have a question. Why did you guys settle down in Rhode Island? Because you're not originally from there.
No. Cathy's a lifelong Mainer, and I've lived all over North America. And we spent a couple of years in England before we settled here. And honestly, we sat down and made a spreadsheet of all the places we thought we would want to go, and then start evaluating all of them in terms of, how close they were to the coast and how close they were to people we wanted to spend time with and all sorts of other things. And we ended up in Rhode Island because it's got a great quality of life and a pretty low cost of living, and it allows us to do everything we want to do.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, that's nice that you guys just kind of evaluated. I love that you've made a spreadsheet for almost everything in your life, for work, for like traveling where you wanted to live. I think that's like my hyper organized self loves that. I don't know if I could do it in like where I want to live, but so now
we were in an interesting position because every time I had moved during my adult life, it was because I was taking another job or because my job moved. And so we decided to have the opportunity to just, you know what, let's just figure out where we want to be, and then we'll figure out what to do there. So it really left everything wide open.
I don't think people always get the choice to move places. Like sometimes it's because your family or for school or for a job. Like you said, I'm not sure everyone gets that choice, and you got to make it. And it seems like you guys are quite happy with it.
Yeah, we're very fortunate.
So Rhode Island's definitely embraced you, and you've embraced them by using local organic ingredients, foraged ingredients. Can you tell me, I know there were some farms used there too.
Mhm.
Can you tell me more
Um,
about those?
so the nice thing about gin for us is that it can be flavored with almost any kind of botanical that you want to put
Mhm.
in it. So it has to have juniper. So you start with a neutral spirit, basically vodka. Um, for it to be gin, it has to be flavored with juniper, but then the rest of the flavors are up to the distiller. So there are some very classic flavors that get added, but you can also start playing around and doing fun things. So we work with a farm nearby in Massachusetts to source freshly grown local cranberries from family bogs in the area. We have another farm nearby that lets us come and pick blueberries. So we do a blueberry infused vodka. We have people who are growing, oh gosh, all sorts of herbs, lovage and lavender and angelica. And we love working with local farmers because we know that we'd like to support local businesses, but it also means that we know what the ingredients in our products came from. So certified organic, I don't always trust that it's necessarily sustainably sourced or, locally rooted. But when we go and talk to a farmer and either help them pick stuff for us or pick it up from them, and we have seen the field that it comes from, it
Mhm.
means that we really understand what's in the products that we're making. We love that.
In my day job as a personal chef, and I teach cooking classes, like you teach your cocktail classes,
Mm-hmm.
I love to be able to talk to the farmers. I love
Yep.
finding out what's in season and what isn't, or being able to give my clients seasonal produce in their meals for the week.
Yep.
Now, when you're talking about the flavors and the things, I noticed some seasonal things. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a plum, was it gin on the
Gin.
website?
Yep.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
That was really inspired by some of our friends in England who make their own damson plum gin every year.
Mhm.
So damson plums grow wild in a lot of the UK, and when they're in season, they're just prolific. So you can go out and grab, a bushel of them, and people, honestly, I'm not making this up. People will sit home in the evening and poke the plums with a pin and drop them in a bottle of vodka or gin and then put it away in the closet for a couple of months. And by the time Christmas rolls around, they have this really fruity, beautifully jewel colored infused spirit that they then serve for the holidays. And it's super, sort of celebratory, and it feels fancy, and it's absolutely delicious. So we came here and realized that we could source beach plums from, because there's so much coastline in Rhode Island, there are little
Mhm.
bits of beach plum here and there. So that's how we actually make our plum gin, is we get the beach plums and go through the same process that people do at home.
That's probably one of the craziest things I ever heard, that people sit at home like poking plums. But I guess it's no different than like a chef making homemade vanilla for the holidays for people. And that also starts with vodka.
Yep. Yep.
So let me guess, does everything good start with vodka?
I have to think about that one. Chocolate doesn't.
No, okay. Yeah, no, you
Chocolate
got
doesn't.
me there on that one. Now, I found I was reading up about how you distill stuff. And the most fascinating thing I saw is, because I've been seeing this in the way coffees are made and the way some other products are made, drinks and things, is that you have a charcoal filter. Now, what does that do?
So we charcoal filter our vodka because it can pull out off flavors. So our vodka starts as corn. Cathy is celiac, so we wanted to build a business that never had any glutinous grains in it to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So the the vodka comes from corn. It's obviously ground and fermented and all the stuff that you have to do to make it into alcohol. And every time you redistill a spirit, you can take some more impurities out. And the impurities come from when all the little yeasty beasties make the alcohol to begin with. They make alcohol and a couple of other things that you probably don't want to drink. So the trick in distilling is taking out what you don't want and keeping what you do want. Um, And running it through a charcoal filter, sort of, it's like just polishing your glassware for the last time. It just gives it that bright, shiny flavor that you want and takes away anything that's a little impure.
I like the way you put that about like polishing your glassware and things. I'm not sure anybody really knows like what goes into all those things, like how hard it is to clean all that stuff, and basically it becomes crystal clear. Is that what gives it the nice clear color too? So it's not like cloudy?
Cloudy will have been taken care of a long time ago, but for instance, if you've ever had a shot of vodka on its own, the classic reaction to a shot of vodka is you drink it and you go, because it's like it catches in the back of your throat and it's really hot. That sensation actually comes from some of the things that are legally allowed to remain in alcohol, but the less there is, the better it tastes. And so I don't want to get too technical about what yeast makes, but there are things like methanol and acetone in teeny, tiny amounts in distilled spirits. And if you don't get them all out, that's what causes some of that like overly hot flavor, or just doesn't have that crystal clear flavor that you want your vodka to have.
Kind of like that cheap stuff we used to drink when we were younger in college because we couldn't afford the good stuff.
Yeah.
So you have seasonal flavors and like the plum gin. I saw, like, I'm in love with coffee. I have a problem with coffee. And I saw you have a coffee and walnut spirit nonetheless. And it's a vodka, which I'm mostly gluten-free. So you guys are like right up my alley, because I always have to ask which vodka is made with what, because vodka can be made in gin with so many different things.
Yeah.
Now, how did that come to be? Like, who puts walnuts in that stuff? Like, who thinks about that?
Cathy does. So like almost everything else, it started with an ingredient and then we figured out what to do with it. In this case, we live in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. At the end of our block is a property that runs along the river, and it used to be a specimen arboretum. And it doesn't function as that anymore, but a lot of the old plants are still growing there. And there are a number of very large mature walnut trees that bear very heavily every year. Cathy got the owner's permission to collect some and started playing around with them. And the original idea was to make a walnut liqueur. And then one day she had a little test batch of that and she put it in her coffee. And that was the one. She opened up the window and said, I have an idea. So we're really fortunate. We have a great coffee roaster. Down East Coffee Roasters are like half a mile that way. So we brought the idea to them. They source Guatemalan coffee beans for us that they decaffeinate. We do a cold brew coffee, add our vodka, the walnut tincture, and a little bit of cardamom and a touch of cane sugar. So it's nothing artificial. It's beautifully flavorful. It's just a fantastic product.
Well, we had talked about, you said you have a cocktail. So after these messages from one of our sponsors, Kara is going to make a cocktail with that and show us how to use their amazing spirits. And we are back. And now Kara from Rhode Island Spirits is going to show us with one of their famous liqueurs and vodka what they're going to make for us. I'm so excited about this.
All right. So I decided to start with a coffee martini because it seems to be taking over the world at the moment. Everywhere you go, they've got an espresso martini or a coffee martini. And to be honest, a lot of them are made with a flavored vodka or flavored syrups that are really not all natural. They're not as simple and straightforward as I would love them to be. So I wanted to just show you how to make a perfectly straightforward coffee martini that has all the flavor you want and none of the stuff you don't. So we're going to start with, I already have ice in my shaker. We're going to start with 1.5 ounces of vodka. And then I already made some double strength cold brew coffee. Really easy to make. If you make coffee, just make it twice as strong and you're done. We also make our own vanilla syrup. Really easy to make. If you don't make your own simple syrups for cocktails, all you have to do is equal amounts sugar and water in a pan, warm them up until the sugar is dissolved. You can put anything you like in there. We use rosemary in some simple syrups. We have lemon simple syrups. This is a vanilla one. It's got a little bit of vanilla extract and about 1/2 bean in it. It doesn't take very much, but you just get this fantastic flavor. And for a martini, that's really all you need to do. Simple, simple ingredients. The one thing, if you're feeling super fancy, there are chocolate bitters. We love bitters. They come in tons and tons of flavors. And they really have a very, very strong flavor. So if you can find ones that are all natural, Fee Brothers does a lot of all natural ones. They just add a real pop of flavor. So that was just 2 dashes of chocolate bitters in our coffee martini.
Cocktail?
So the chocolate bitters with the coffee martini is just a really nice combination. Coffee and
bitters
chocolate
in general, how does it enhance cocktails? Is it like the top note in the drink? Is it kind of like music? Like it just
it usually adds a note of complexity because they're made of lots of very strong flavors all together in a little package. So just even a couple of dashes can add a really strong. So the classic bitters will add clove and spice. The grapefruit bitters that I have, they're a very concentrated essence of grapefruit. These are very concentrated chocolate flavor, so a couple of drops will just really expand the flavor profile of what you're doing. So I'm going to shake this for a minute. Pardon the noise.
That's okay. Talk amongst yourselves while she does that.
That's all I needed. So we also use really small martini glasses here. It's one of the ways that you can make sure that you really keep on top of how much you're drinking. If you use a giant glass like this, you're going to fill it up and drink the whole thing. We love fitting a lot of flavor into a little package.
I like that.
So that is a beautiful martini. It doesn't look as dark as you would expect it to because it's got no color in the vodka. You just float a couple of coffee beans on the top, and that's your coffee martini. If you can find either our product or another coffee flavored vodka that doesn't have artificial flavors or sweeteners in it, it'll amp up the coffee flavor in your martini. But honestly, this one is delectable. We serve it in the tasting room and people really love it.
That's like right up my alley. Like I told you, my coffee thing. Sometimes the reason I don't try them is one, there's artificial flavors, and two, if there's like not decaffeinated, I'll be up all night.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, there are great bartenders out there. And if you talk to them about what your preferences are and what your needs are, you can often get a great cocktail. But I love teaching people how to make cocktails at home because you know what's in your glass. You make a little investment in having really good products in your bar. It's fun to make cocktails. You don't have to drink something that you don't like. You don't have to wonder if there's, artificial flavor or sweetener or anything else in it. You just can absolutely control and make stuff that you love and learn how to do it over and over again. Probably save a little money on going to a bar too. So it's great.
Well,
Drink
there's
at
that too. So you were talking about the tasting room. Now that's something that's happened in the last couple of years, that you didn't always start with the tasting room.
We actually opened the tasting room first. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I had that backwards then.
So we started distilling really early in good Lord, what year is this? So we shut down in 2019, 18. So we started distilling. About 3 months later, we opened the tasting room. And the tasting room was really our only interaction with the spirits market for a long time. We didn't start distributing our products until we'd been open 6 or 8 months. And it was really, we got pushed in the direction of manufacturing and distribution just because we had to close the tasting room during our first anniversary party. That was nice. So once started shutting down, we shut the tasting room down and then really dug into manufacturing and distribution. So we're available in several hundred outlets in Rhode Island and Massachusetts now. A handful of places in Connecticut have started picking us up. But yeah, the tasting room is really for us a great way to interact with people and talk to them about what we're doing. We got some great feedback from customers about some of our flavor profiles. And we've learned a lot about what kinds of cocktails people really find appealing, because we try to do things in the tasting room that people can take home and do themselves. There's nothing super fancy, nothing with really strange ingredients. It's all simple and as delicious as we can possibly make it.
And that's how I feel about my cooking. It's simple, clean, the best ingredients you can get your hands on or you can afford. And you need to know what's going in your body, right? Whether it's your alcohol, your coffee, the stuff you eat. And you guys seem to really have put so much thought from the start to the finish drink, the finished cocktail of how you use your products.
Well, we don't want to make a product that people really don't want to use. We have ourselves been to distilleries and you try something and it's interesting and you buy it and then it sits on your shelf at home because it doesn't really fit in with what you do on a day-to-day basis. We want to be, if you have our vodka on your counter at home, we want to be that vodka is used in whatever you're going to have vodka. Same with gin. We make gin that really fits in any classic gin cocktail because we want to be your go-to gin.
It also helps your bottles very pretty to display on the bar somewhere.
Thank you. And I think, I'm not sure you can see them, but we've actually won some awards for our spirits. So they're
actually all I see is bottles, but I can see it in the background. So because you had the tasting room and you had to shut it down, but overall people said liquor sales were up during the height of the pandemic. Did you guys find that your sales started to expand more, or was it just growing to another phase of your business?
Well, it gave us a kick to expand our geographic area. I think for the first 6 or 8 months, when people were really being super careful and businesses were largely either not letting people in or asking them to do curbside pickup or that sort of thing, people were going to the liquor store and asking for a case of the big brand that they knew, and that's what they would take home with them. And our products are really the sort of thing that it's really helpful if somebody goes and asks the clerk, hey, can you tell me about this gin? Or can you tell me what's interesting in the vodka aisle? So we didn't necessarily have a huge explosion of growth. But I think like I said, it just inspired us to really work and get our products out into more places. And we're really starting to grow in Massachusetts, which is really exciting because there's a lot of opportunity for us there. And there are a lot of chefs and a lot of people who are aligned with the idea of, eating clean, eating close to home, working with local suppliers. So, that just really gives us a space to play in that's very comfortable for us.
Now, is your spirits carried in some local restaurants in Rhode Island as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't have the number right off my head, but the last time I checked, we were in over 100 restaurants, and it's growing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's everything from, there are some lovely high-end places. There are some real down home, the burger bar around the corner from us, that's our local. They're wildly enthusiastic about what we do. We were actually over there playing cards and having a beer the other night. And one of the waiters came over and she said, I have to get the manager to order more of your coffee vodka, because she was making coffee martinis on Sunday brunch and she sold an entire bottle of coffee vodka in one day.
I can see how on a Sunday brunch that could go really quickly in a busy restaurant.
Yeah.
Well, that's all good news for you guys. Now,
it's great.
I have a really important question. Now, do you guys fight over which is your favorite, like your favorite cocktail you guys make for, like, with your Rhodium spirits? Like, is the walnut your favorite? Is the plum your wife's? Do you guys, or is this like asking you to pick a favorite child?
Well, we don't have to fight over anything because we make it, so we can always have it. And the favorite, I think, don't tell anybody I said this, but I'm pretty sure Cathy's favorite is the coffee.
That's okay. I understand.
But, we don't make anything that we don't love. And I think that's one of the things that's great about owning and running a business. It's just the two of us making the decisions. We can go back and keep working on things until we think they're good enough to meet the standard that we really want everything to be at. So we love the plum gin. We love the plain vodka. And cocktails, there's nothing better than a good gin and tonic in the summer. But from there, we will cycle around and do different things with different spirits. What we drink at home isn't necessarily what we drink here. And, we try to keep the tasting room menu fresh. So we have new things coming up all the time, and we'll try something out. If it works really well, it goes on the tasting room menu. If people love it, it stays there. So it's actually really fun. We get to play with booze all day. What could not be fun about that?
Well, it depends on how much you've had in a day. Maybe not so fun.
Well, so people have asked us for a long time, I don't know how you can do that. How are you not drunk all the time? We don't actually drink most days. If I'm tasting a cocktail, I'll just stick a straw in it and taste it. That's all I need to know whether it tastes good enough to keep developing or not.
Like a wine tasting. You take a sip or two and you're done and you move on to the next, or you don't have any more if you don't like it.
Yep. You'll notice I made a coffee martini. I'm not sitting here drinking it. So it's that would be dangerous.
I bet you're wonderful once you have a cocktail in you. I bet you're even more fun. So I'm curious, I know you said that you've taught online before we started, and I've taught cooking classes online, which has been a little interesting, especially when I've been teaching kids. But have you found that people are really into these classes? Have you started running events and classes back in the tasting room?
So the tasting room is back open. We reopened, I think, in late April or early May. So we've had some time to sort of build up and get people coming back in. I do still occasionally do online stuff, but not very often. It was something we had to do when we didn't have the tasting room and we wanted to still be giving people some information about what we did. But honestly, it's the only time online classes have really worked is when they were small classes where we could set the menu for what we were doing and make sure that everybody had our spirits and all the other ingredients, and then do it as sort of a, everybody mix at the same time. But it's much more fun to be in a room with people. Part of the point of drinking is conviviality, right? You want to spend time with friends and have a bit of a drink and a laugh and, have a good time to remember. So it's it's a hard thing to do in an electronic format.
I know I did some like online cocktail hours with friends. I even celebrated a birthday like that with a few of my friends, and it's odd. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little odd to try to do a whole party thing like that, but if that's all we had, and it's a great way to do that. Now, I notice how much you guys have embraced your community around you, whether it be partnerships with other businesses, getting into the restaurants, getting into, I saw that you'll even about sponsorships and charities on your website. So what are the kind of sponsorships and charities you guys have been involved with?
Well, so you remember I said Cathy and I worked for nonprofits for most of our careers. And
Right.
so when we started our own business, we felt that supporting the community that supports us is a really important part of making sure that we're good people citizens, but also good corporate citizens. So we've chosen sort of a sweet spot of charitable endeavors that we really love to support. It's everything from LGBT and youth activism to there are a ton of nonprofits that do great arts education in our area. We're really committed to anything that's about preservation and restoration of the Blackstone River Valley.
Okay.
It's a fabulous river. It runs right through the middle of our town, and our tasting room, like the windows right over there, overlook the river. And we're in an old mill building, and this was a very industrial part of the world for a long time, which means that all of the waste generated in the mill went out to the river. And so since the 70s, there's been a huge amount of work done to clean up the river, to turn it back into a place where plants grow and birds land and animals are healthy and people are healthy. So that's another cause that we're really committed to. We've also done support for nonprofits that are active around food insecurity because we work with farmers and we're in an area that has a real range of people's economic statuses and ability to access some of the kinds of things we think are really important. So yeah, I mean, we really want to be committed to making sure that the place that our business is thrives along with the business.
I like that. And I mean, using nonprofits for years, I suppose you know the best way to help them and what's the most useful and how to be a bigger part of that. So you said you have upcoming events. Is there anything that people could go on your website and sign up for?
Sure. So the Visit Us part of our website has an events page. It just got updated today. Didn't know we were going to be talking about it, but I'm glad I got to it.
Right. If you can't tell us anything, it's fine.
No. So it's everything from, we're going to have bingo on Friday. The second Sunday of every month, I run a thing we call Gin School. So it's an hour and a half. You get to taste all of our gins and a couple of other ones and begin to understand sort of what the different botanical profiles are. I give you a little bit of history of gin, a little bit about how it's made, and we also do a little cocktail class in there as well. So somebody gets to come, learn about gin, and then take home a bottle and a recipe for what to do with it. So it's really fun.
I think that is that. Well, that sounds like a nice Friday night.
It's a Sunday afternoon, but yes,
Oh,
it's a fantastic. Friday's bingo.
I have been so many things mixed up today. I swear I read everything about you. I'm just getting things all mixed up. So I have one last question for you. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else that you want to share about your business that we didn't get to? Is there anything that you have upcoming or anything more that you guys are going to be experimenting with in the future? Should we be looking out? How often do you guys change your flavors?
We put a moratorium on developing new products for a little while just because we really need to get out and introduce what we have to the world. But I think the most important thing that I haven't said yet is a giant thank you to everyone everywhere who supports local businesses and buys products that they know something about and they like, you know, the reason that things are made or the way that they're made. The more you learn about who's producing the things that you eat and drink, the more healthy your relationship with all of your surroundings is going to be. So we love people who ask questions. We love people who value the things that we're doing. And we really, really appreciate people who support us especially because we're a local business. So thank you.
Well, you heard it here from Kara. And go, if you're in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, or anywhere in New England, take a ride, go see the coast, get a nice spirit at their tasting room. Or maybe you can go in and take part in their events. And well, anywhere in New England, really now, some in the surrounding states, we can go and look up. Do you have a locator on your website?
We do. Yep.
I'm gonna have to do that. There's one near me.
You scroll down to the bottom of the homepage and there's a map. We update it every week with every place that has any of our products.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Kara, for coming on and showing us an amazing, healthier, and better for you cocktail with coffee, which we all know is my favorite. Let's face it. You guys
thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Wasn't that so fun? Cocktails, and you can go onto their website and you can go enjoy their cocktails. Or if you can't make it to Rhode Island, make sure that you go on their website and look for the store locators. So if you're in Connecticut or Mass or anywhere surrounding it, sounds like you can go and do that. And I had put up a few sites that you can actually go shop online to buy their products. So go take advantage. Now we'll have a word from our sponsors. And remember, February, as you can see by the lovely hearts behind me, we are doing chocolate month. And she must have known because we're going to be putting some coffee in our chocolate. So a word from our sponsors, and we will be right back. All right, and we're back. And I'm adding the food can. Yes. It wasn't working earlier. I don't know what I did. I pressed the wrong button again. Me and technology are not getting along this week. I don't know what is wrong with it, but everything I press seems to go all haywire on me. It never works right when I ask it to, right? It's always the way. So today, the ultimate in Valentine's Day dessert, in my opinion, is the flourless chocolate cake. And well, if you're gluten-free, this is perfect. So we are going to be making a lovely flourless chocolate cake. So we're going to preheat our ovens to the universal cooking temperature, which we have been talking about, at 350. So my oven's setting at 350. Now, we're going to have this a little more unique than usual. We're going to start with an olive oil batter. So we're going to you can substitute butter or coconut oil if you wish. So I'm going to put in some olive oil and our chocolate. And we are going to heat it up. I have about 7 ounces of 75% to 80% dark. Now you want to make sure that you have that dark chocolate because the higher the dark chocolate, that means the higher the cocoa and the flavonoids. And that also means that it's loaded with more minerals like iron and magnesium, all the good things. All right, I'm going to walk it over to the microwave. Turn it on and let it go. Sorry for the noise. I also put a paper towel down because last time I did this, I spilled. So you guys always laugh at me when I tell you that I spill stuff. So what we're going to start with here, we have eggs. 5 of them. We're putting in 5 eggs. Now you can separate the yolks and the whites if you just want to use the whites. And it'll be a little more fluffy and it'll be all craggly and crunchy on the top. I like a little bit denser, chewier cake, so I keep all of them in. Now I'm going to break up those yolks. Let's see, there. Break up those yolks, and we're going to start scrambling them a little. We want to add a little air in, and I want to add in our sugar. I have coconut sugar, which I keep telling everyone is sustainable. This is a good thing. We want sustainability. All right. Now, we're going to start whisking it together. It's like anything else. You mix the sugar, you do the things, but if you just keep doing it, this will add in some air. And it matters in the order we add stuff. Now, here's the thing. We got to check to see if our chocolate is melted. Not quite yet. About 30 more seconds. So, I also have here coffee, 2 tablespoons of one of my favorite coffee brands, Bob Buster Coffee. They're coming on the show at the end of the month. The Pierce brothers, they're so awesome, and I've been working with them for a while. So you guys wait until you check them out. It's going to be so much fun, and they're really fun. And some vanilla, we're going to put that in. Add into our wet ingredients. All right, I hear you. Microwave's so bossy these days, right? Yeah. So we're whisking. All right. That's how we're going. Ooh. Hot and somewhat melty. Let's give it a stir and see where we are. Now you want it to melt in the oil. Oh, there we go. So you want it to get hot enough that it melts, but not so hot that you can't add it to the eggs, because if you don't let it cool, you end up with scrambled eggs, and nobody wants that. Who wants a scrambled eggs cake? So what I do is I start adding in things like the salt. And I start adding in, typically I add this into the eggs, but I'm going to add the flour or the cocoa powder, not flour. See, I cannot talk tonight. I got things backwards. I keep saying stuff. We're going to add in the cocoa powder. I love cacao. It's a little drier, but it's the unprocessed version of cocoa. And we're going to mix this in. Make sure that we have it mixed in thoroughly. Now, let's see. We got this. It's nice. It's going to be nice and thick and rich. It's going to be kind of like a loose brownie batter is what you're going to want it to look like in the end. So there we go. Now let's talk about this. You can put it in a springform pan if you need to get it out. Or I can't find my springform because in a fit of New Year's cleaning, I put it, I think it's downstairs and I can't find it. So I'm going to use a pie plate, which works just the same. And so don't go out and buy anything special. Just watch the cooking time, because the cooking time might get a little bit different on you. So we're going to wait. This will cool down in a second. We have that. Now here's the thing. You know how I was telling you about how the best chocolate is 75 to 85%? Now, the reason people always want dark chocolate and not milk chocolate is in milk chocolate, their bonds, it like binds, the milk solids bind to the healthy like antioxidants and reduces their availability in your body. So you're not getting the health benefits you need. You're not getting the antioxidants, and it's reducing the minerals and things you get. The whole reason to eat dark chocolate, other than it's super tasty, but if we eat a little bit a day when it's sick, oh, geez, I cannot talk today. It serves to help with our sweets craving. It helps with our heart. February is National Heart Awareness Month, especially for women. So we all know that we like to enjoy our chocolate. But if you have just a little bit, I always say a little bit a day of good quality chocolate and things, it should be good for you. Now, like we were talking about with Kara, you want to make sure that you have the best ingredients possible. Now, I'm going to do this. This is still a little bit warm. So I'm going to keep, while I stream this in, I'm going to scramble I don't want this to scramble. So I'm going to whisk a little bit at a time. It's kind of like tempering, basically, is what you're doing. And the moving will keep it from scrambling. Now, the best part of this is if you have parchment paper, you can cut out a little heart and make like a cocoa in powdered sugar design on the top when this is cold. And you have a cute little Valentine's Day gift. What's everyone doing for Valentine's Day? Are we celebrating with our girlfriends, our family, our significant other? Me, I am teaching a Valentine's Day class online, and then I'm going to watch football. And I will be working. I don't know. I never thought Valentine's Day was that big of a deal. I've only ever really liked the chocolate aspect of it. Except when we were kids and we could give out Valentine's Day stuff. Those little Valentines, everyone. I always thought those were so fun and going to pick out the ones that we could. All right. So it's nice and smooth and beautiful and glossy. So I'm going to pour this gently. I hope. Let's go with gently. All right, we're going to put this in the sink. Into the pan. See how smooth and creamy that is? That is heaven in a bowl. Basically, if you give me anything chocolate or anything with coffee, I'm pretty sure I will be your best friend. Just don't tell that to my best friend. Alrighty. Now, we're going to bake this for roughly 25 to 30 minutes. It doesn't take that long to cook, believe it or not. Yeah, I'm checking my notes. 25 to 30 minutes. Because we'll want the top to be set. And if you're using the egg whites, it'll be all kind of crackly. So I'm going to put it in the oven. Let's see what we got. See if I can do this gently without spilling. Make sure you guys put it on the center rack. When we're baking, we want things on the center rack. And I have chocolate on my hands because it helps get stuff to circulate the air around. Because if it's on too top, you know, heat rises. If it's on the bottom, you want that even cooking. Because if we don't, that's how come you get burnt spots. Now with this, you can serve some wonderful, there's a big crash outside. That's not good. You can serve some wonderful like whipped cream on top, or you can do a lovely cocktail on the side. But for the parchment, I want to show you what you can do. Get parchment that's the size of the thing. This is like a fun thing. And you can do this with the kids. You know how we used to when we were with the kids? You take out some scissors, kitchen scissors. Make sure you use the kitchen scissors because this is going to lay on top. Now, fold it in half, the parchment, just like this, like when we were kids. See? We're crafting and making things. Now let's even off the bottom and the edges because we want this to look nice and smooth and polished. And the trick here is we're going to be cutting out the actual heart, but the heart's not what we want. We want the heart, the thing that it leaves. Or you can actually use the heart in powdered sugar around it. I like making the actual heart, but that's just my opinion. It's like the negative space things that we used to make. I feel like when I was a kid and we used to get judged on how to use scissors. All right, so here you go. We have a heart. Now when it comes out, you'll lay this on top once it's fully cooled and you can powder sugar and cocoa powder around it. Or if you prefer, this is the actual heart cutout. So you can do it this way and you can do like a heart with just the outline instead of, you can have a whole heart or the outline. super easy and super fun. So this is a great project for the kids. Or if you want to make it really pretty, you can put in some crushed dried freezed raspberries or strawberries. You can powder, like crush them in a bag, or you can put them in the food processor with a little powdered sugar, and then it's all pink and reddish on the top. Perfect thing to do. Now, I want you to tune in next week. I have an amazing guest, and he runs one of the biggest dining programs in the country, or well, helps run it. And they have some amazing events coming up, and I want you guys to hear all about it. It's going to be so much fun. He's a good sport for coming on. I'm very excited to have him. Not to mention, I want to wish you all a happy Valentine's Day, no matter who you're celebrating it with, whether it's partners, family, friends, or by yourself. It doesn't really matter. But I want you to enjoy some chocolate. That's an order, whether it's for your health or not. But you guys enjoy, and I will see you guys next week. I'm so excited to share more.